911. Police responded quickly and made 3 arrests at Rimrock Plaza on Dufferin Street. The Toronto Hate Crime Unit was made aware as well.
Honestly, it's just horrible. Like, we're a high school, a bunch of kids, and I don't see what we have to do with any of this, kind of. And I don't understand why people would be doing this to us.
What other things would you like the Toronto Police to do? Can they do more, and have they offered to do more?
Toronto Police have been very responsive, have had a wonderful presence here. We're really grateful for what they're doing. They've been here much of the day today. They've been here at other times. They are supporting us, they are advising us, and we're really appreciative for their expertise in this very difficult situation.
Ezra Levant for Rebel News. I'm in North Toronto, where there was a bit of a scare today. I'm in front of a Jewish school in North Toronto, and apparently at around lunch hour, 3 young men who purported to be motivated by the terrorism in the Middle East made threats against kids, Jewish kids, from this school. Here's how the head of school, Jonathan Levy, described it at an impromptu press conference a few moments ago.
Unfortunately, there was an incident that took place near our campus today. What happened was that a number of individuals targeted some of our students with threats. There was no violence, there were no injuries, thankfully. But uttering threats is, of course, illegal and a problem.
So what's happened to these people, and what did you do?
So our security responded, called 911. Police responded very quickly, and for our procedure, they called 911. Police have arrived quickly, for which we are very grateful, and an investigation is now underway with possible charges pending.
The police were here, and everyone's on heightened alert. We spoke to a couple of kids. Now, it's our practice not to interview minors, so we've blurred their faces and we're not using their names. I thought they were spot on, asking why would Jews in Toronto be targeted for a geopolitical quarrel around the world. I think the answer is obvious, because it's not just a geopolitical quarrel. Hamas hates Jews, full stop. It's not just against Israel or for Gaza or whatever. They simply are the new Nazis. That's my answer, but here's how the kids put it.
Sure, I just think personally it's horrible what's going on, and I just don't understand how you can do this stuff to a high school, like, let alone, like, the whole Israeli and Palestinian conflict is its own thing, and this isn't part of that. This is just pure terrorism, and I just think it's horrible what's going on.
How about yourself?
Yeah, I think, like, the only word to describe this is terrorism. It's the only thing that's happening here. You can't describe it any other way, and yeah.
Personally, I don't feel very safe here. Like, clearly, with everything going on, it's just chaos right now. There were people running through the halls. It was just we heard stuff about bricks, and then we heard the cars being smashed, and then we heard the threats, and just everything going on. Honestly, it's just horrible. Like, we're a high school, a bunch of kids, and I don't see what we have to do with any of this, kind of. And I don't understand why people would be doing this to us.
Here's a few more details from the head of school, Jonathan Levy. What other things would you like the Toronto Police to do? Can they do more, and have they offered to do more?
Toronto Police have been very responsive, have had a wonderful presence here. We're really grateful for what they're doing. They've been here much of the day today. They've been here at other times. They are supporting us, they are advising us, and we're really appreciative for their expertise in this very difficult situation.
Let me ask you, you spoke in generalities that the police are being supportive, but is there anything specific? For example, will there be police here on a regular basis?
There will be enhanced security. Obviously, we're not going to get into specific details of any security protocols, but there will and has been enhanced security at the school.
Look, I don't know how you protect soft targets like a Jewish school. I was in Budapest, Hungary lately, in front of an enormous synagogue, and there's schools and Jewish summer camps, and I asked the kids how they could do this with no security, and they said life is very easy to be a Jew in Hungary. And the obvious reason why is because there are not hundreds of thousands or millions of migrants to Hungary from countries where anti-Semitism is taught and propagated. Canada took a different path. And we brought over hundreds of thousands, indeed it's now millions of people from places in the world where anti-Semitism is the formal doctrine. From Afghanistan, from Syria, from other places, and they were invited to Canada on the premise that they would assimilate and integrate, but no one actually vetted anyone. No one actually insisted on integration. Multiculturalism in 2023 doesn't mean integration or assimilation. It means pockets and ghettos. Here's footage that we filmed a few days ago at what has been dubbed Gaza Plaza. This is not in Gaza, though. It's in Mississauga, on the outskirts or part of the Greater Toronto Area. Take a look. It's not just in the Greater Toronto Area. Here's some footage that our reporter Sheila Gunn-Reid filmed from Edmonton, Alberta. You wouldn't imagine it from Edmonton. Well, you don't need to imagine it. Take a look for yourself at the celebration of murder. There have been these pro-Hamas rallies all across the country, in Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa. And if someone is willing to stand up and shout the word intifada, which really means riot or pogrom, if someone is willing to use the Palestinian chant, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which means to totally eradicate the entire state of Israel and those within it, if someone's willing to chant, as they did in Sydney, gas the Jews, did you see that? If someone's willing to say that, are they willing to act on it? We know that there are thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of people in Canada who were thrilled by the murder and torture and rape that they observed in Gaza. There was no tangible success for the Palestinian people. They did not get any closer to a negotiated settlement. They did not acquire one more square foot of land. They are no closer to establishing a state. In fact, in many ways, they're further away from it. The only news in the past week was the barbarism of the murders of women and children and the rape and torture and humiliation. And that pure evil is what was celebrated in these rallies across Canada. Now, we heard the head of school here talk about hate crimes, and we've heard the police chief in this city talk about hate crimes. And
with regard to hateful behavior, I will underline again that violence and hateful acts will not be tolerated in the city. The Toronto Police Service and our hate crime unit will aggressively pursue any alleged or suspected incidents of hate crime or hate-motivated behavior in our city. There will be no tolerance for any forms of hate or intimidation. Residents are encouraged to report any allegations of hate-motivated incidents to police for investigation.
And obviously that is an issue, and threats are an issue themselves. But the Criminal Code of Canada has other provisions about providing support or help or planning or even propaganda support towards listed terrorist entities. And in Canada, Hamas is a listed terrorist entity. The CBC has instructed its reporters not to say so, but that doesn't change the fact that they are terrorists and they are legally designated as terrorists. I think what has to happen in Canada is the same way Germany was denazified after the Second World War. I think Canada has to be denazified in terms of these barbaric, Jew-hating Nazis of the 21st century, Hamas and other anti-Semitic terrorist groups. There's no compromise. There's no splitting the difference with people who believe in actual barbarism. How do you split the difference with someone who celebrates rape and murder? How do you negotiate with someone who explicitly wants to kill the Jews? And I think that this is a longer-term challenge because it's a problem that took 20 years to get into, and I don't know if there's an easy and fast way out of it. Canada has been a fireproof home far away from flammable materials. That's how it was described about a century ago by diplomats, and it's true. We've never really had a brutal war here. We've never had terrible things happen here. We've been kept far away from it. But unlike Hungary or Poland, we brought into Canada thousands of people, perhaps many more, who actually believe in war and believe in terrorism, and we know that because they say so. How we handle this will be a challenge that they don't have in Hungary and Poland. For Rebel News, this is Ezra Levant. I'm reporting on the scene of a Jewish school that had a bit of an incident today. Apparently there were no weapons involved, but kids were threatened, Jewish kids, threatened simply for being Jewish. I don't think this is the last we'll hear of it. Hamas has called for a day of rage on Friday. It wouldn't surprise me if we see more incidents like these. To keep up to date on our reports, there's various ways to do it. Rebelnews.com is one. We actually have a reporter we've sent to Israel, Avi Yamini. You can follow his work and chip into our crowdfund at thetruthaboutthewar.com.